Now, at some point in a man's life, he's going to have to speak up and admit when he was wrong, and that's what I'm going to be doing in today's video. But unfortunately, it's going to have to be on my Detroit Pistons, our Detroit Pistons, the Detroit Pistons that we know and love. Now, the first thing I want to do is say the one thing that I was right about. I said that the Detroit Pistons had one of the best off seasons in all of the NBA, and I think that still stands to be true to this day. We look at what they did on draft night. I feel like they automatically get an A+ for that, selecting Jaden Ivey with the 5th overall pick, and also later in that draft stealing Jalen Duren. And also, they didn't stop there that offseason. This move right here is what really got me hyped for the Detroit Pistons. This is what had me making all the claims that I did in the summer. It was when we made the move for Bogdanovich. I feel like adding him to the team, he was going to truly give us a shot at that play-in tournament. Now, of course, it's very early in the season, and that's not ruled out, but the Pistons are 3-13 right now, and the way that things are trending, that's probably not going to happen. But nonetheless, Bogdanovich, he has been amazing for the Detroit Pistons, and you can make an argument that he's been the best Piston so far this season. He's definitely been the most consistent and the most efficient, and the bad part about it is that with him playing so well and then not contributing to wins, or is not showing up in the win column, at the least the Detroit Pistons are probably going to start to shop him, because he is very valuable and he can help out a lot of contending teams, especially with the way he is playing right now. And then also Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey, these guys are playing incredibly well for NBA rookies. So I still say the Detroit Pistons, that they had a great offseason. Now we get into what I was wrong about. Now I might have just been a little emotional, all the great moves we were making, but I said, first of all, I made this top 10 video, top 10 teams in the Eastern Conference, and I picked the Detroit Pistons at number 10, and I was not being biased at all. The way I was looking at it, Cade Cunningham, Sadiq Bey showed me a lot last season, so I was high on him. Same thing with Isaiah Stewart, all these other guys, and then the talent that we was adding to the team. I thought we was going to have a chance to crack that top 10, but in that video, I said I would take the Pistons over teams like the New York Knicks, the Washington Wizards, the Indiana Pacers, the Orlando Magic, and right now all of these teams have a better record than the Detroit Pistons. So I must admit, at least for right now, I was wrong about that. Like we said, the Detroit Pistons are 3-13 and it's not looking well. So in this video, it's definitely not a rant. I'm not angry. It's more like a vent. We're going to be venting about the Detroit Pistons today, and I feel like one of their main issues right now, and it's definitely not an excuse, but it's something we have to take into account. But the Detroit Pistons, man, they have not been healthy all season long. The Detroit Pistons, they haven't had a bunch of guys on the injury list. It's actually only so far for a majority of the season, there's only been 2 players injured for the Detroit Pistons. That was Marvin Bagley and Alec Burks, but these are 2 guys who could be key pieces to the rotation. And one thing that these guys add that the Detroit Pistons desperately need is scoring. Marvin Bagley, he can get you 12 to 15 points per night. Alec Burks, he can get you anywhere from 14 to 18 points per night. His last 2 seasons playing with the New York Knicks, he's just been known for getting buckets. He's a great 3-point shooter, knocking down over 40% from the 3-point line, and that's another move. I forgot to bring this up earlier in the video, but getting him from the New York Knicks, I love that move as well, because this is a guy that's knocking down 40% of his 3-point shots, and he's averaging 16 points per game. So we haven't had him for a majority of the season, and I just love Marvin Bagley as an individual. He's not some great talent, but I love having him out there because he does all the little things well. He can finish around the rim, he can rebound, and he can catch lobs. And I love having him out there with the Detroit Pistons, with their guards and their perimeter players, because I feel like he is so compatible, especially with Cade Cunningham. I don't know if you guys were watching the Pistons last season, or specifically in that second half of the season when Marvin Bagley came to the team, the offense and the pick and roll game was just so much more different, man. So I love having him out there with Cade Cunningham. So now we get these two guys back. And now Cade Cunningham, he goes down, I believe his shin or something in his lower leg. He's having some soreness there, and I think he's going to miss at least one more game. And then also Isaiah Stewart, I heard he's going to be out for some weeks now. So we get two key rotational players coming back, and then two more key, not only two more, but our best player and then another key rotational player. Now they're going to be out for a little bit more time. I think it's one game for Cade Cunningham, and I heard it could possibly be weeks for Isaiah Stewart. So now we can't get the health right, and this is very critical because this is a young team. You need all your players, and when you don't have every guy, it's just going to make it so much harder. And that's what we've been seeing on the Detroit Pistons so far, man. You look at their team stats, it is terrible. They rank dead last in offensive rating, and then they rank 29th in the league in defensive rating. So we're not getting no solid production on either sides of the basketball at all. So yeah, I feel like injuries, they've played a huge role into why the Detroit Pistons have been struggling severely so far this season. But we're not making excuses, man. We're here just to vent, and we're gonna keep venting about the Pistons. And another thing, I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I have a hard time understanding the closing lineups or understanding Dwayne Casey's rotation. And I see a lot of people saying that Dwayne Casey should be fired. They showed his record since he's been the coach of the Detroit Pistons, and it's pretty bad, but I don't think he should be fired just yet, because what's happening right now, I don't think he's the biggest part of the blame. I think a lot of blame goes to the circumstances, and this is just a young team with little to no experience. So we just got to continue to be a little bit more patient in terms of our head coach situation, because I don't think the players, I don't think they're on that level. I don't think they're on that level yet, and I thought they were going to be this season, but they're not. But nonetheless, back to the topic of the rotation, and this is mainly with our bigs. I feel like some games this season, Jalen Duren, he definitely should have finished the game, and he didn't. And when I look at our bigs as far as impact so far this season, I feel like Jalen Duren, he has had the best impact on the season. Just what he's done as far as rim protecting and rebounding the basketball, guys, he is so, for an 18-year-old, he's so far ahead of the curve in terms of those two stats. It looks like he's pretty comfortable out there doing that, blocking shots and grabbing rebounds. He's a great finisher around the rim. And one thing I love about Jalen Duren, this was the first game. He is an Energizer bunny. The first game, I don't know if you guys remember, home opener against the Orlando Magic. We got down big in that first quarter. The second unit came in, and Jalen Duren, he made like 3 or 4 big plays to get us back into the ball game. He got like a block, he got a steal, he got a crazy posterizer, and you could just see it energize the crowd, energize his teammates. So I love that about him, and I think the reason he's not closing out and he's not starting these ball games is because he's a rookie. And we talked about this. It was a video I made. It was said who should be the starting center for the Detroit Pistons, and I said that it's probably going to start with Isaiah Stewart, but by the end of the season, that's not going to be set in stone. It's definitely an open competition, and unfortunately for Beef Stew, he just went down with that leg injury, so there's going to be more minutes for Jalen Duren, and I think he's going to capitalize on that. So that's another thing that I've been having a hard time understanding is our rotation. And then lastly, man, the biggest reason for the Detroit Pistons struggles is guys is just they're not developing at the rate that for me, they're not developing at the rate that I thought they were going to develop at. So I would say that this is the ultimate reason to why the Detroit Pistons have been severely struggling so far this season, is that some guys are just not developing as fast as I wanted them to. I'm going to exclude Cade Cunningham from this conversation because I feel like he's playing pretty decent. He's putting up 26-6. My only thing with Cade Cunningham as of right now is that he hasn't been super efficient on the entirety of the season. He's shooting 41% from the field and 27% from the three-point line. Now, he did have a stretch of games. I think it was like 4 or 5 games where he was playing out of his mind, super efficient from the field, and that's what cemented it for me that he was going to be a superstar in this league. But we just need him to become consistent with that efficiency. But some of the guys that I'm a little concerned about, I'm not even concerned about Killian Hayes no more, man. I've let go of that, and I'm not going to have any expectations for him going into the rest of these ball games for the remaining games that he's a Detroit Piston. I don't think he's going to be a Piston for that much longer because he's just not putting out the production that we need him to. And the frustrating thing with Killian Hayes is that he'll have a game where he comes out and he puts up 16 points, he'll have 5 rebounds, he'll have 9-10 assists, and then he have like 3 steals, just having a great impact on the game. And then the very next game he'll come out, he'll have 2 points, he'll have 1 rebound, he'll have 2 assists. And then you look at his numbers, he shot 1 of 12 from the floor, so you just can't have that. So I defended him for a very long time, and I just can't anymore. So all my expectations for him, they are gone. And then another player I look at is Saddiq Bey, and he's a player that I got to take in some context for because things have changed a lot for him. When you think about it, we've added Jaden Ivey and Bogdanovich, and the way things are looking, those 2 guys are ahead of him on the food chain. I think it goes Cade Cunningham, Bogdanovich, Jaden Ivey, and then Saddiq Bey. So that's a little bit different for him because last season there were some games where he was the number 1 option, number 2, never less than the number 3 option on the team. So that could be an adjustment. But we look at his numbers, he's averaging 15 points per game and 5 rebounds, but that's not really that bad until you look at the numbers. You look at his numbers, he's shooting 41% from the field and 29% from the three-point line. But Saddiq Bey kind of started off last season like that in the shooting slump, and then he turned it around. So I'm hoping that's what happens again. So Killian Hayes and Saddiq Bey, I thought they were going to be a little bit better this season. Those reasons right there, man, the Detroit Pistons, I feel like the injuries, man, the rotation just doesn't make sense sometimes. And our guys are not just developing as quickly as we thought, man. But I'm still very optimistic for this team's future. I'm definitely still going to tune in to every game. But that's going to be it for this video, man. Like I said, this was not a rant. We were venting about our team, man. But if you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, comment down below if you agree or disagree, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man. And that's curtains.